They were here for several thousand years. They're not well known today because they no longer exist. They were the Temuco and Naguale. Their area was basically the South Carolina state line along the coast down to North Florida. When the French first arrived in 1562, they got along fine. But 3 years later, the Spanish came. That was a different story. The Spanish were pitting villages against each other with the idea of conquering and converting those Native Americans. So by the time the English came in 1700s, those tribes were gone. They were absorbed into the Creek Nation to the north and the Seminoles to the south. So we have very, very little of their history. Their language hasn't even survived. What little One of the things is the floor in the hall and here in the parlor was etched. And so that's why the floors haven't been refinished. They tried to sand it down and we removed the etching. Another feature was the fireplaces. They're just good old black Georgia slate, but to make them look fancier, they had this etching to make them look a little more expensive. And then finally, during that era, leather-covered walls were a sign of affluence. Well, these aren't leather-covered, they're just sponge painted to look like leather. So it all was a matter of appearances. The big windows to get the best of the breezes, the big porch to shade the first floor were all meant to provide comfort. Now, this is china that actually belonged to the Dubignon family. When one of the Dubignon sons got married, Catherine Dubignon ordered that Limoges china from and let it sit for about 10 minutes to get any residual gas out. Then it was safe to hit the light switch. When you went back to gas, then you had to close every fixture and only open up the ones you wanted to light. So not exactly convenient. So Rockefeller Cottage, Indian Mound, about 70 to 80% of it is from that. These two beige brown chairs were Rockefeller's chairs. And they were put here because it kind of fits with the idea of an office. But those are the only two pieces in the building that we know the source of. Now eventually, Mr. Grove, the superintendent, moved his office to the turret over at the club. And he made service and art. He made every member feel like this was their private estate on the club. He would personally greet every arrival on the wharf, and he knew their preferences. So he would give the gentlemen a favorite cigar and the ladies a bouquet of their favorite flowers, and then personally escort them to the club. He also ran all the business affairs of the club, and he also was probably quite a diplomat because he had to enforce the rules. You don't tell a multimillionaire what to do without jeopardizing your job. But he was the superintendent here for 42 years. Probably from St. Simon's? Okay, yeah, because we don't do ours till September.
So you're going to face in the window outside.
Let's see.
Can't really make it out very well.
It's Mr. Hart.
Mr. Hart?
Yep.
Who's that?
Mr. Hart. Mr. Hart was the assistant superintendent of the club. He came here from Augusta to build the dairy. He was originally from Canada. And that's an important fact. He did such a good job with the dairy that he was made assistant superintendent. Well, he was over on the beach with the boat engineer's son, Eddie, and a couple other adults, and they came across a couple local guys poaching turtle eggs. And he said, "You guys don't belong here, you need to leave." And they got in an argument, and the local guy said, "Well, you're gonna be a dead man before I do what you tell me to do." He pulled out a pistol. Before we had circuit breakers, you know, we had fuses you screwed in, and there was a little lead piece across the top. So if you overloaded the circuit, it would get hot and it would melt the lead, and that would break the circuit. That's what these little wires are. These are lead wires. And so if that got hot and melted, that cut the circuit, prevent a fire. And then if you wanted to work on it, you got the wood handle here and you'd open it up and you could replace the wire.
Yeah,
So it's an early fuse box.
that's cool.
The master suite, this is another fixture where there's a gas on the top and a light on the bottom is electric. And then we can go right through the bedroom and across to the other bedroom. We'll make our way back up. And I'm going to be shutting off lights behind us, so somebody doesn't need to come in and do it later.